Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and we've got another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video for you guys today. And this is going to be another one where we're just looking at a spreadsheet. I know, it's crazy. These videos recently are just all about data and stuff like that, but they're just random topics that I think we want to shed some light to. So today's topic, though, is about territory wars. Now, before I get into it, I just want to ask if you guys could keep liking the videos. If you guys enjoy them, keep subscribing to the channel. Again, all these things help me know what we like to talk about. It seemed like our Chirotech video was very well received, and so I want to keep making stuff that people enjoy and people find informative. So the reason why I'm making this video right now is because there is a sense out there in the community that TW rewards either aren't very good or they are not big enough to where the winner and loser makes much of a difference. And I have to admit, on first glance, I think the same thing. I did not think that they were that impressive, especially with what we have out there currently in the game. They seem a little bit dated, but I wanted to see, hey, like, let's actually put numbers to this to see what are we getting, you know? And the whole reason this popped up is I am a TW enthusiast. I enjoy it. I am in a guild that enjoys it, but I wanted to actually see what are we actually fighting for? Like, is what we think true? So off onto the Excel spreadsheet. We have over here our win column and our loss column. And I took screenshots of the win. We just won this. Again, I know there's a little bit of variation between the rewards because it just kind of sometimes RNG of what you actually get. But the whole reason I actually keyed in onto this topic was because right here, smack dab in the middle, I saw 8 Electrium, in which I know many people purchased the relic pack for 500 crystals. And I just thought to myself, you know, there is a chance that you get higher than 8, but I was like, that's 500 crystals right there. Like, that's pretty crazy. You know, so all this is going to be based off of the weekly shipments and crystal purchases. We'll get into that a little bit later, but really first, I want to answer the first question is, do TW rewards suck, right? That's kind of one of the major gripes that I hear. So that I think that's a separate conversation then. Do winners and losers get rewarded well enough? So let's quickly look and see what winners get. So they get 1,900 of the guild event tokens. They get 12 Kairos. They get gear 12 pieces, 8 of each. And then they get 10 of like the G12 purple pieces. They get a ton of core gear. It looks like quantities, it looks like they range from like the 20, 40, 20, 20, 30. And again, I didn't spend a ton of time. I don't know if there's any variation between these. But yeah, you get just a few slots of core gear. And then, and this is, you know, obviously in the max rewards list. So 350 mil guilds and above are receiving this. So it will obviously change the further down you go. But in the top one, we got 5 relic mats and 8 relic mats as our win. We also got, of course, the 3 Zetas. We have 4 Omegas, 5 of the Mark III abilities, 3 of the Arrow Magnifiers, 5 Droid Banes, some of the Mark III through Mark I slicing mats for the data crons. We got 1 million data cash, and we got 500 get 1 and 650 get 2, along with 725,000 credits. Okay, so honestly, when you look at this list, it's actually quite a long list. And remember, you get it twice in 1 week. Yes, you know, there's 2 wars in a week, so if you have to think about it that way, you know, like if you want to try to compare it, I guess, to like territory wars or even like the raid, right? You have to think about those happen once a week kind of thing. So you kind of have to kind of, you know, make that adjustment. Give this a double dose before you kind of really analyze it. And honestly, I could say while I wish there was more, obviously, I would always love more stuff. I don't actually think that that's far out like that bad. I don't know. Like, I guess maybe call me a minority, but um, obviously, like I said, I would love the more, but I really do feel like, okay, like that's pretty good. Again, if you think about it, the same thing as, hey, like, we got a chance to double these rewards every week. So yeah, it's just sort of where I am. That's going to come down to the individual. So, and maybe some things that we can point to further will help us, maybe make or break that decision. But for the loss, so you get only 1,625 of those guild tokens. You get 10 of the Kairos. You get 7 of the Gear 12 pieces for each one. Then you get 9 of the Gear 12 purples. So it's, just a 1 gear piece difference, right? Like, again, we're kind of building of that. Hey, like, is there really much of a difference between winning and losing? Core gears a little bit different, right? We start to see a little bit more variation down. The random purples basically the same that we got in these 2 screenshots. Again, just kind of comparing the 2 that I had readily available. Now, what I will say is they get 0 of the relic mats. This was a complete shock to me. I actually had no idea that this existed. I figured they would have just gotten some, but just to a lesser quantity. Nope. According to the screenshots, they got 0. So then they obviously get the 1 Zeta. This is what everyone always magnifies in the loss, right? They just say, oh, well, enjoy your extra Zeta. An extra Omega, an extra Mark III ability, right? You lose 2 arrows. You lose 4 droid brains. You lose quite a bit of the slicing materials. You lose about half of your data cache. And you lose just a little bit of your get 1 and your get 2. And you lose quite a bit of your credits, right? So again, just showcasing what is the actual rewards. Again, the losses isn't bad too, right? If you're just going in, you just want to sign up, you want to get your 2 Zeta materials, you want to get some free stuff, hey, this is a way to do it, right? Like, you don't have to put that much. I think you have to score 50 banners, which is setting 2 defensive teams, right? If your guild is good with that, then hey, get some free rewards, right? You'll get them twice a week in that style. All right, so that covers the question of, hey, does the reward suck? I would say probably not. Again, like, I think it's gonna come down to personal preference. Do I think that they could be maybe magnified a little bit more, or like, could they help us out in certain areas that we're kind of seeming like we're slagging behind, right? If there's like a little bit of signal data or something like that they could toss in there, sure. I would love all that stuff. But I wouldn't say that these are necessarily horrible. So what then is the second question is, okay, well, maybe they don't suck, or maybe they do. Like I said, it's kind of up to personal preference. But now we have to address, well, there's just really not that big of a difference between winning and losing, right? Okay. So what I decided to do was I started to reference all these things using weekly shipments, if applicable, to try and say, okay, what is a crystal amount? Let's see where we are differing. So basically, if we were to buy what we can with all this stuff and with crystals, what would it cost us, right? Every time that we win or lose a territory war. So basically how I came down, sometimes I had to reference things because, right, with the guild tokens, you buy certain gear and then that gear now has to be converted over into crystals. I picked common stuff just to try and stay consistent. Maybe it's not the best bang for your buck, but again, it's consistent, so it should give us a crystal amount that we're at. So there's the table, right? It's the crystal table. So for 560 of the guild tokens, you can buy 20 Mark III Carbantes, right? Everyone wants Carbantes unless you're beyond the Gear 12 stages. Every single character is beyond Gear 12. So with 560 of those tokens, We win, again, and when you win 1900. So if you take, your standard math of the 500 divided, or your 1900 divided by 560, I forget exactly what you get. It's like 3 point something, right? And then you take your 20 Carbantes that you're winning, you purchase that 3 times, right? You get something like 67 Carbantes. So that amount in crystals is going to be, there's 700 crystals gets you 50 Carbantes, right? You take that win amount that you got, and there you go. So you basically, the win people, they get 950 crystals, and the losing people, they get 812, right? Not bad. Not so bad right now. All right, so again, you can actually just buy crystals or buy Kairos with crystals, so you don't actually have to do a reference or anything like that. You just know that there's 420 crystals get you 15 Kairos, so that ends up making it, for 1 Kairos 28 crystals. You multiply that by, your 12 and 8 or 12 and 10, right? And all of a sudden you can see, right, the winners get 336 crystals and the losers get 280, right? Same thing with the gear 12 pieces. 240 and 210, these remained pretty much the same. Again, I kind of just went, maybe there's more ones that cost more, maybe there's not, but again, just to remain consistent, this was the best way of doing this. Core gear obviously is Carbonte, so it's the same formula here, right? 280 over 224, all these other things. Now, where we start to kind of get into a little bit difference is because of the amounts that come into a few of the core gear pieces, but a few of the also random purple gears, some of these electro binoculars and all that stuff. There's a few spots where you could see we've got 560 crystals compared to the 224 and 420 compared to the 280. So again, we are starting to kind of build up a difference, but the big one obviously is relic mats. Now again, I know that relic mats can change, right? So in my scenario, I had electriums, which would, I think, be one of the more expensive ones. You could see here, right, for 2,300 crystals, you can get 20 electriums, which gives you like 115 crystals per purchase. When you do that, that's 920 crystals that you're just getting, and they don't get any, right? Whereas my other reward was this carbonite circuit board, where 900 crystals gets you 180, which means that each carbonite circuit board is 5 crystals. So I won essentially 25 crystals. So not that great of a deal. Now, what I want to say is I just kind of omitted the Zeta, the Omega, and the Mark III ability. Would there be a way for me to assign crystal amounts? Yeah, sure. But I was honestly feeling like that it's kind of irrelevant. Like, you kind of know in theory, right? Like, okay, yeah, I got 3 for winning, I get 2 for, right? Like, you kind of know what you're getting. You're getting 66% of a normal one, right? Of a win. You get 3 instead of 4, right? Like, so I just felt like, okay, this is an obvious one. I don't need to really assign a crystal amount to it. I think we're okay. Arrows, another big one though, because for 1,250 crystals, you get 5 arrows. That's 250 crystals per, right? So by the fact that I won 3 and the guy that lost, he won 1, big crystal disparity here. For the droid brains, obviously big discrepancy because each one is going to be 300. So obviously 1,500 for the 5, and you get 300 for the 1. And then here's where another one kind of you start to see where there's a big vast difference within crystal amounts. All these Mark III abilities, right? They're pretty pricey. One for 24 crystals. And you just kind of get none. I mean, you get a few for obviously losing, but you get a lot more for winning. And then, yeah, the data cache, right? There's like 0.0002 of a crystal for 1 because you get 1 million of them. So 200 crystals compared to 100. Basically, all this said is, okay, so I picked get 1. So this is another one we'll have to do a reference for. But for 400, get 1, we get 5 of the Mark 6 med packs. I feel like everyone needs those. So that was applicable. So basically, The win amount there is that we'd be able to buy 6.25 Mark 6 med packs, whereas the losers will only be able to buy 5.31. So yeah, a little bit of a difference here in the crystal amount there, but it's not much. And then for Get 2, right? Kairos, everyone's buying Kairos with Get 2. So there you go. You get 5 Cairo for that 325 Get 2. So for winning, you get 10 extra Cairo tech. And for losing, you get 8.46. So what does this all mean, right? When we added this all up, the win crystal column, we ended up with almost 10,000 crystals, right? That's pretty crazy. Like, I really did not expect that. Obviously, again, it'd be pretty crazy if you just went out and purchased everything from a territory wars just so that way you could skip territory wars and try and get via crystals. But right, I just wanted to assign a crystal value to it so that way we could actually look and compare, like, what is the difference here between what we're getting versus what we think we're getting. And the losers, on the other hand, they get 5,000. So you actually quite literally get half the amount, right? So I know it's easy for us to go, oh yeah, well, like, I'm only missing 1 Zeta. I'm still getting at least 66% of what, the return of winning is. And hopefully, you're not spending as much time and all that other stuff, but you're actually getting about half when it comes down to it. And again, I know it can vary, right? Like this could be bronziums, and it probably wouldn't be as expensive and stuff like that. But the fact remains, right? Like 10,000 crystals versus 5,000. If you lose in 1 week, you're only going to get 10,000 crystals, while your opponents or people that have won two times in a week are getting close to 20,000. Again, that's completely omitting the Zetas. It's completely omitting the credits and all that other good stuff. So, like everything, I put this here too. There's 52 wars in a week, right? Or in a year. It's going to be close to 52,000, or I guess that's 519,000 crystals, as opposed to the 260 that you'd get if you literally were in a guild that just lost an entire year, which would be crazy. But all this to say is, I guess what I'm trying to say through this is, it doesn't actually seem like losing is that that good of a deal, especially if you're losing consistently. You are kind of getting half the rewards. Now, of course, in PvP, there is a winner, there is a loser. It is a forced equation here. So I'm not trying to say you should sweat it out for all your matches ever. I'm not trying to say that, hey, like, you guys are horrible people for, trying to not win in TW. Obviously, these things have to come in. Sometimes you have to take, your lickings. Sometimes you're the one handing them out. But I'm just coming out here to say, because, again, I kind of believe the hype too, like that. There's just really not much of a difference. Who cares? Just go about your day. Other than guild pride that we kind of go for in the gauntlet, it's not that big of a deal. Lose a few, then you win a few. But over time, this will add up. Like, this is going to add up. You will feel this eventually. Even just the stuff that I didn't calculate, right? Like, and again, I understand these are the extreme opposites, but if you were in a guild that won every single war that year, you would have 52 extra Zetas than the guy that was in a guild that lost every single war that year, which would mean you have 2.5 extra Zetas that you can use to invest in your characters. And I know all the new players want Zetas. So anyways, like I said, hopefully this was interesting. I found it really interesting. I found it kind of eye-opening a little bit. Did not expect it to be this way, but just wanted to show you guys some numbers behind the rewards that we say are horrible. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.